Okay, guys, I'm going to introduce you officially to Mary Kate Bowen. Today, she officially became Mary Kate Bowen, didn't you, baby? We love you. Guys, these are happy tears, I promise. So today we just finalized the adoption of my daughter, and we went to court, and she's now officially Mary Kate Bowen. We could not be more happy. But as I was sitting here thinking about things, and I was like, it was such an emotional, long, hard process, or time coming, but it was so great. So I was like, I never even shared with anybody our adoption story, the whole story behind anything. So I thought that I would share it with you guys now, now that it's complete. Oh, it's complete. So a little over 5 years ago, Nathaniel and I weren't married yet. We were engaged, I'm pretty sure, by this point. It might have been almost 6 years ago. She was probably 6 years. She was about one and a half. Mary came to live with my in-laws. Another story behind why, but just not a good home life. Her mother had went to jail, and so she needed somewhere to stay, so she was with my in-laws. Nathaniel and I weren't married yet, and she's just the sweetest little girl, you guys. So our hearts, they needed immediately, but it was a way different thing. Like, it wasn't in a mindset of, oh, okay, we're going to adopt her soon. It was just a little girl who maybe was going to be Nathaniel's sister. Not even like, we didn't even know if adoption would be something we would be able to do. So we got to have her in our wedding and everything, which is so cool to think about. And so we got to be with her and got to know her a little bit, see her. She's grown up a little bit. Well, then in February about 2006, no. I think it was in December of 2015, something around there, because we didn't end up getting to have Christmas with her, which we were really bummed about. She had to go back to her mother, her biological mother, and we were devastated. We were heartbroken. But just a couple months later, I think it was about 6 months later, we got the phone call that she needed somewhere to go, and so she moved back in with my in-laws. And at this point, Nathaniel and I had been married. We started throwing around the idea of, this little girl needs to be out of the house that she's in. She needs a safe home. So adoption is something that either us or my in-laws, or we need to start thinking about who. So Nathaniel and I started praying about it, and we would have her come and hang out with us a little bit. And it was just, as the more that we seen and more that we were a part, that she was part of our life, we just really started getting close to her. So about 3 years ago, we had decided, you know what, we would love to be her mom and dad. You guys, she looks just like me. It was definitely a God thing. She looks just like me. She's a redhead. She's a redhead. She's got freckles, all those things. So she favors me for sure. And she acts just like my husband. Like, they have the same humor. It is just amazing. God definitely made her 100% for us. So we knew, we just knew that we wanted to be a part of our lives. So about 3 years ago, for a year, we started the transition to where she was living with us a little bit more prominently. We started with like 3 days with us, and then back and forth with my mother-in-law and us, my in-laws and us, because she was living with them, so we didn't want to like culture shock. and to make sure too that we were doing something that we all felt like we would be good with. So we started the transition slowly. And then about 2 years ago, we moved onto our land in a camper, and we were going to be living a little bit away from my in-laws. So we were like, okay, this is our chance to start going full-time, because we're not going to be able to just go back and forth like we were then, because we lived right down the road from them. So about 2 years ago, she started living with us full-time, and that's when we made the transition of, okay, we're going to be your mommy and daddy. And so for 2 years, she started calling us mom and dad. We grew that relationship, and I'm not going to say it's 100% easy. We jumped into the parenthood game with her being at the age of 5. So at 4.5, 5, and so that's very different, because it's just boom, all of a sudden, all those responsibilities. It wasn't 9 months of preparing and then, growing with them. She's a talker, 100%. She's a wild woman, but she's just the sweetest heart and the sweetest girl to go through what she's been through. She just has the most loving and caring heart, forgiving heart. She's a wonderful, wonderful child. So we adopted her, and so she started living with us about 2 years ago, and we knew that we wanted to just start the adoption process, but we were trying to save money for it, because as any of y'all might know, adoption processes are not cheap at all. There was a few things too, red tape that we had to go through with the parents, so we wanted to make sure all of that was finalized. But we got all of that taken care of, and in September of 2020, right? Yeah, last year, September 2020, we finally went to the lawyer, and we were like, okay, we're ready. Here's the money for it. We're going to get this process started. Between COVID and everything else, we got the paperwork finalized and sent in by January, and got the email in May that our court date was going to be in June. And at first he said that it was just going to be a custody. It was my in-laws needed to be there because in good faith that they're signing over their custody to us, and then we could adopt. And it was going to be like she's going to set a home visit schedule and all those things so that we could then come back to court and have the adoption. So we went today on January 15th or June 15th of 2021, and met with a lawyer and met with the judge with my in-laws. And he told us, he said, okay, so you guys ready to have this whole thing done? We're like, yeah, we know that there's going to be one more. And he's like, who said there's one more? We're not doing one more. He said, she's going to run everything through. She's going to read down everything. You're just going to say that that's correct. She may ask you if you think you're really ready to be parents and you think you can financially, emotionally, physically take care of her, and she's going to have you go. And we were just mind blown that it went so quickly. That was just God 100% to make it fly, to make it go through so smoothly. We live in a camper, you guys, as you know. We are waiting. I haven't really announced to anybody yet, but we are going to be having a house in about 6 months. So we were ready to tell them that. But it's nice not having to go through any of that and having any issues. God just put it through so smoothly, and you guys, now today she is officially Mary Kate Bowen. She is officially Mary Kate Bowen. She is so excited. She didn't know what to do with herself when we told her. We said, you all, now everybody will know that you are our daughter, and there will be no questions about it. You never have to say anything else about your biological mommy and daddy. You will have a birth certificate that will say Mary Kate Bowen, and it'll say that I'm your mama and that Daniel's your daddy. You guys. She asked me if that meant she could live with us forever. and never had to go anywhere else. And that's something that we've tried to remind her of multiple times before this actually, was finalized. But I'm so glad that it was like that. Just really sealed the deal for her. I mean, an adoption paper, the birth certificate, it's just paper. Because our hearts were already there. It was just enough. She needed it. She needed it to seal the deal in her little mind. So, that's a little bit of our adoption.